you are trying to write your English essay due tomorrow, but all you can think about is the flashing of the cursor staring back at you. If you don't want to write today, maybe you can just push it back. Work extra hard on it tomorrow. Your English class is right after lunch, so you'll have plenty of time to do it then, right? It's not like you don't have any ideas, it's just that the paper's so crisp and clean, it's better not to dirty it with your unplanned words, right? Right? Recognize this feeling? It's what's known to the world as creative block, also known as writer's block. And despite its name, you don't have to be a writer or an artist to experience these setbacks. Instead, it grows from the ideas of perfectionism, a personality trait characterized by harsh self-criticism and a constant and often unhealthy strive for flawlessness in everyday life, which has seen a large increase in the past few years. Approximately 30% of the population now struggles with perfectionism, over 2 billion people, and creative block is one of those nifty things you get to experience along with it. I myself am very much a perfectionist, which basically means I like making things much harder on myself and then blaming myself when it doesn't go exactly to plan. Yay! But ever since going virtual, it seems like I've hit a wall. Creativity was a huge outlet for me, but being stuck at home meant that I couldn't find the motivation to get up and create anything. But by following a few key steps, I believe that this creative wall can be torn down and that a greater creative landscape can be achieved. Now, the first step in trying to solve the creative block sounds grandeur when you say it like that, but is to explore the reasons why people experience it. The main causes that I'm going to go over are fear, perfectionism, self-criticism, and external pressure. Now, fear is not literally the fear of doing something creative, but instead the fear of what people will think of what you create, that it will be criticized and that what you create might not be good enough. This goes hand in hand with the perfectionism aspect, which is a protective mechanism used to try and avoid this criticism. And the want for every word written to be perfect from the start is an impossible goal, and it often leads to a large hurdle to be jumped over before a piece can even be started. And this criticism doesn't need to come from others, but instead from the criticism that comes when we look at our own writing and by comparing ourselves to others. That's like saying, my English paper isn't going to be as good as a Stephen King novel, and therefore I do not even have the motivation to start. Seems odd when you say it out loud, but it is a very common factor in creative block. And then finally, there is external pressure. This is when you don't even want to be creative, but instead are being forced to by figures of authority such as parents or teachers. This one is hard to escape, especially since you don't particularly have control over the situation. But there are certified methods tried and tested in order to help resolve the pressure that we allow ourselves and others to have on our motivations. Okay, now that we've looked at the causes, let's look at some possible solutions to combat creative block. There are a lot of different solutions that different artists preach towards. However, getting active, keeping yourself to a schedule, and just creating anything are methods that I have used myself, as well as being very popular among writers and artists alike. Getting active is a much more aggressive tactic than the others, but as Ryan Holiday, who is a media columnist and editor for the New York Odyssey, says, you must, quote, beat it into submission. That is the only way, unquote. Now, you could definitely take this quote as an excuse to throw whatever heavy object you have at your blank Google Doc, but please don't. What he's trying to say is that doing something like going for a run can help to clear your mind and allow you to focus on things that you actually need to focus on. However, if you were like me and you enjoy sitting, then there's keeping yourself to a schedule, which allows your writing muscle or artistic muscle to get stronger the more you use it. If you let yourself fall out of the habit, it can be hard to get back into form, as John Avalon, who's an editor-in-chief at the Daily Beast, says. By creating a schedule for yourself, it means that you are being creative on a regular basis, and therefore helping to overcome the creative block and to prevent it in the future. And then finally, there is just creating anything, which comic artist and host of the internet art show Drawfee, Julia Lepetit's art teacher, allowed her to do. She recalls that when she was in school, her teacher used to spill coffee on her drawing paper when he could see that she was struggling. She said that this was a great way to allow her to create something, but not have the pressures of being perfect. And once again, I implore you to please do not spill coffee on your laptop and to put down the heavy object. But what we can learn from this is that sometimes doing something for the fun of it can allow us to get into a serious creative mindset. And now that we've looked at both causes and solutions, we can use that to find the most effective solution. So, getting active. While this method definitely helps to jumpstart your brain into thinking creatively, it doesn't really solve the issues of self-doubt and perfectionism. Sure, it can help to distract your thoughts from it, but it doesn't completely erase them. However, keeping yourself to a schedule can help to move your mindset away from I can't do anything, by instead moving it into I have to do it. So, if by having a schedule, you are saying, okay, if I do not do this now, it will not get done. And these strict deadlines help you to plan ahead and to relieve some of these pressures of being perfect, but it seems to just kind of walk around the issue. And plus, it leans into the external pressure factor of creative block. If you don't have the motivation to do something, the only way to fix it through this method is to continually force yourself to do something that you don't want to do. And finally, just creating anything. Not only does this method help to get your brain working in a creative fashion, but if you allow yourself to create something that nobody will ever see, then suddenly the pressure of yourself and of others to be perfect melts away. And while this does have a few downsides, such as the time that it would take to write something outside of what you need to do, like especially if you have strict deadlines, if you have 10 minutes and creative block, then this is the solution for you. So, let's take it back to the story in the beginning. You stop staring at that hypnotic flashing of your cursor and you open another tab. You don't have any ideas? That's fine. That's okay. You're perfectly okay. And so you look to your right. You see a coffee cup. Thankful that you didn't spill it all over your laptop. Thank you. You decide to write a short story about a coffee cup that hates Mondays and eats lasagna, and maybe has like a cat coworker. Just completely original, and suddenly you are filled with so many ideas, not only for being creative, but also for your English essay. And this jump-starting of your brain allows you to get yourself out of that writing rut that you were previously in. But you can't just take my word for it. The next time that you are writing for an English class, or painting for your own enjoyment, doing whatever, and you cannot, for the life of you, find any ideas, then just be willing to create something with low stakes. Because if you don't have stakes, then you are able to be free, in a sense, in just creating something for you. And so, I hope that the next time you will be able to take a coffee cup and a cat coworker with you in your journey to being more creative within your everyday lives. Thank you.